welcome to this course on decentralized finance, or DeFi, an emerging alternative to the global financial system. The goal of this class is to help you understand what DeFi is, what its potential is, and how to speculate on it for personal profit. This course is broken into different modules that aim to, for example, how do we facilitate borrowing and lending on a decentralized network? How do you use a collateralized debt position? What is a crypto loan and how would you take one out? And the many other different aspects of decentralized finance. For the first couple modules though, we'll keep things pretty broad and talk pretty high level about what decentralized finance is and what it aims to do. So, what is DeFi? To understand DeFi, let's first understand what the global financial system has created. Massive amounts of wealth. But this wealth is centralized, meaning the spoils have gone to populations who are properly connected to the world's financial centers. This is not directly an abject criticism of capitalism or anything like that. In fact, centralized finance has been the cornerstone of modern society. Ordinary people passing over their assets to banks and other financial institutions, and in turn having a place to draw capital from, has helped society flourish. However, the result is also that you've kept control and risk at the center of the system. And bankers, as experienced as they may be, can still fail to see risk in the market, as we saw with the 2008 global financial crisis. When you have centralized entities controlling all the money supply, risk accumulates at the center and endangers the entire system. We can ask how wealth building tools could become more accessible to the rest of the global population. So to help mitigate the risk of a centralized system and to aid in the proliferation of financial instruments, technology once again is here to save the day. Recent technological developments and their rapid adoption have made this the right time for the decentralized financial system to emerge. Think about some of the most important advancements in technology over the past 2 decades. You have the internet, which has created an underlying pipeline for global communication. It's democratized access to knowledge and information. And at this point in time, over half of the world's population is on the internet. You also have the widespread adoption of smartphones. This in turn has helped with the utility of the internet and has helped give rise to a world where the internet is ubiquitous. Smartphones may also play a key role in how we can help foster a more inclusive financial system. According to the World Bank, over 2 billion people do not have access to basic financial systems and services, such as banking. And yet, 2/3 of those underbanked people have a mobile phone of some kind. As internet-connected devices become more and more cheap, and we see the internet get into more and more people's hands, it stands to reason that we could also bring them up to speed with modern financial services proliferated by a decentralized network. In the past decade, we've seen the rise of digital banking, where people are becoming more and more comfortable with handling their finances online. Today, over 2 billion people utilize digital banking of some kind in order to handle their finances. Again, as more and more people get connected to the internet, we'll see a trend continue where people use online digital banking to access financial services, effectively making people their own bank. This segues nicely into one of the most important advancements of this century, Bitcoin and blockchain. The emergence of distributed ledger technology and public blockchains reimagine what financial systems could be like in the future. When Bitcoin was created in 2008 as the first ever solution to have a global peer-to-peer trade settlement network with no intermediaries required, this was a major advancement because individuals could keep sovereign control over their assets. However, Bitcoin and early cryptocurrencies only decentralize the issuance and storage of money, but not the access to a financial system. Mind you, it's not an issue that blockchain has created this paradigm shift. It's simply that we're lacking the bridge to link the old system and the new system. I do find it ironic, after all, that blockchain aims to create a more inclusive, open, and transparent society, and yet at its current state, only a small sliver of the population can access it and utilize it. Because blockchain-based finance will likely play a future role in global economies, it is then problematic that the majority of people should be locked out. So hopefully you can see that we've clearly established a problem here, and this is where the decentralized finance solution comes along. Decentralized finance is a new decentralized financial system being built on public blockchains like Bitcoin and Ethereum. The basis for this is that Bitcoin and Ethereum aren't just digital currencies. They're the foundational open source networks needed to decentralize economic activity. Essentially, they're the foundation of the house, and decentralized finance, or DeFi, is the construction worker looking to come along and start to build the house up. The builders, or the proponents of DeFi, are creating innovative financial products that are moving towards open source protocols for exchanging assets through decentralized platforms. These new platforms have two huge advantages over finance as we know it today. First, individuals, especially the underbanked, will be able to unlock many known and new forms of value while not having to trust any intermediary to take care of their assets for commission. Anyone has access to the system and there's no central control. This is based on the core tenets of being permissionless, decentralized, and trustless. Permissionless in the fact that anyone can access and connect to the network, decentralized in the fact that records are kept simultaneously across thousands of computers instead of a central server, and trustless in the sense that a central party isn't required to ensure transactions are valid. The second advantage that decentralized platforms have over financial systems of today is that all protocols are open source, so anybody can build new financial products on top of them. People from all across the globe can collaborate and come up with new forms of creating value. It's the same thing we saw once the internet was opened up to the public. You get this snowball effect where people are building on top of other people's work, and it becomes this massive collaboration which only helps to benefit mankind. This is enabled by another set of core tenets: transparency, censorship resistance, and being programmable. Transparent in the sense that all transactions are publicly auditable, censorship resistant in the fact that a central party cannot invalidate a user's transactions, reverse changes, or shut off the network. And certainly there's no one to say that an idea is good or bad. And finally, it's programmable in the sense that developers can program business logic into low-cost and interoperable financial services. Combining these 6 tenets with these 2 advantages gives you the basis of DeFi. Decentralized finance, or DeFi, provides a range of common financial vehicles and marketplaces that ensure an individual is the sole custodian of their assets at all times. But you might be saying, hold on, I thought Bitcoin already did that. And to a degree, you're correct. But what if you wanted to trade your Bitcoin? What if you wanted to build in functionality that Bitcoin lacks? What if you wanted to lend out your Bitcoin as collateral? You see, DeFi is not usurping what cryptocurrency represents. It's building on top of it. It's introducing features and functions and networks that go beyond the concepts of simply cryptocurrency. You have things like decentralized exchanges where you retain ownership of your assets and you don't have to worry about the exchange being hacked and you potentially losing all your funds as a result. You've got things like stablecoins, real stablecoins that are provably solvent and have a reliable value for hedging and transferring. You've got things like token baskets, a decentralized equivalent to ETFs. You've got things like tokenized debt platforms for lending and borrowing. Yes, the markets for all of these is rather small right now, but the promise is there. A global financial marketplace with programmable stores of value that do not just serve, but belong to the individual. And of course, let's look at a blue sky scenario. What would the world look like in 10 or 20 years as DeFi and cryptocurrencies proliferate throughout the system and become widely used? Now, of course, unless governments and central banks suddenly cease to exist, it's difficult to imagine a world where decentralized finance completely replaces their centralized counterparts. But we can definitely imagine a world where they coexist. I've often said that we are a long way off from true decentralization. What we really should be striving for is a hybrid model. Public blockchains can interact with the traditional finance system and help to bridge the gap, give us the best of both worlds. Users could conduct economic activity on public blockchains and exchange their new wealth into the centralized system. At the same time, users could hedge against systemic risk by diversifying their wealth holdings in both the central and decentralized system. Right now, there's a lot of fear about the potential of a recession and a lot of other concerns about quantitative easing and money printing. And I think crypto, and especially DeFi, is coming along at the right time and being the right solution to help us hedge and mitigate the risk that the centralized global financial system currently represents. You see, it's not an argument about being against centralized systems and being for decentralized ones. It's about envisioning a world where they coexist. But we're definitely still in the early days, and so there are some concerns that must be addressed to make decentralized finance viable. For one, there's very low adoption. Worldwide, there's only tens of millions of cryptocurrency users, let alone people who understand and operate in the DeFi space. Another point of contention is the regulatory gray zone that currently surrounds the overall cryptocurrency space. Furthermore, the cryptocurrency market is still seen as a speculative venture and not a new asset class as it deserves to be seen. And finally, the networks are in their infancy. It's hard to compare Bitcoin and Ethereum versus Visa when the latter is orders of magnitude faster and more widespread. But again, we're in the early days. As I said earlier, we've only just built the foundation. If we really want to democratize the financial system, we want to build a better system, if we want to put a roof over our heads that we're proud of, this is when the hard work has to happen. But hopefully you understand the advantages of being first and being eager. If we are successful, which I believe we will be, we're entertaining a paradigm shift the likes of which has not been seen in a long time. The global financial system is in need of an upgrade. And I believe cryptocurrency, and more specifically DeFi, is what will make that happen. So, welcome to the DeFi class. Thank you for joining us, and I look forward to continuing your education in the next module.